Sayu. Could you tell me more about yourself and your culture?
I'm Sayu. I'm from Japan, and I came to Singapore when I was about 3 years old. So now it's my 12th year here. I think for the Japanese culture, people really have the impression that we're a really polite community. And there are quite a lot of us in Singapore if you look at international schools, or some of us are actually in local schools like me.
Yeah, thank you for that. So what is one thing that you love about the Japanese culture?
I think what I love about the Japanese culture is especially the festivals. So I think the festivals are really interesting. For example, the summer festival. We actually have one here in Singapore where we hold it at the Changi Elementary School. And it's hosted every year in August, and a lot of stalls will be held over there. And you can see a lot of performances in the Japanese culture.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for the insights about the festival. So what do you think about the authenticity of such festivals? So is the festival held in Singapore any different from that held in, let's say, Japan?
I think to some extent there are some aspects that can't really be same as the ones held in Japan. And also because while the festivals are held by the Japanese Association in Singapore, it's also catered to the local citizens. So we also think about what the locals would like to see more about in the Japanese culture. So it may not be exactly what you would see in a Japanese festival, but they are quite the same.
Okay, I see. So in such a case, is there anything you miss about the Japanese culture when you're here in Singapore?
I think for the Japanese culture that I miss, it will also be about school events in Japan. For example, the Japanese sports festival is not like the ones in Singapore. It's more of in a large scale. So there will actually be cheerleaders. So instead of just dancing, it would be a whole the whole school dances, and we're split into groups where we do a dance battle. So we see which group dances the best and which group cheers the best. So it's really built a lot of school spirit.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay. So moving on, are there any Japanese stereotypes in Singapore that pushes your button?
I think for every other country, I think people would think that Japanese people are really, really polite and disciplined in a sense. And while we are quite, we try to be really polite, there are some stuff where it exceeds our tolerance rate, and people may find that we aren't really reacting to it, so they may think that we are okay with it. But then there are some stuff where we still feel a little bit unhappy about.
I see. Okay, what is an important part about your culture that some people might be unaware of in Singapore?
I think in general for the Japanese culture, as mentioned, we are really particular about manners in a sense. We always put our minds into respecting other people, and I think, for example, being punctual would be one thing that we are also quite particular about. So and also showing our gratitude to the people around us.
I see. Thank you for that. Could you teach me some phrases in Japanese?
I think quite a lot of people would know this, but if you want to say hello, you say konnichiwa. Or for example, you want to thank someone, then you will say arigatou gozaimasu. So some people, when they ask for Japanese phrases, or when they try to learn it, they may say arigatou, but then that is a more informal way of saying it. So when you learn Japanese, it's also very important to learn the more formal words, so that you are respectful to the people whom you're speaking to.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the people watching about your culture, or just anything in general?
I think that the Japanese culture is one that is quite interesting, and I actually really appreciate that people in Singapore, or my friends around me, they always try to understand more about my culture. So they would ask me questions about my culture, or they would for example, they learn a new word, then they will try to ask me if they're pronouncing it correctly. And I'm actually really, really happy to know that people are putting in the effort to learn more about my culture.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.